The day asked a lot of you. You answered all of it. And the moment you finally stop answering, your mind starts asking. You noticed it tonight, the same way you've noticed it 100 nights before. All day you were moving. There was somewhere to be, something to finish, a message to send, a person to reply to. You were tired in a way that felt physical, the kind of tired where lying down seemed like the only thing your body wanted. And then, you lay down. And within a few minutes, the tiredness was still there, but underneath it, something had woken up. It doesn't feel like rest. It feels like a meeting you didn't schedule. You might have thought by now that something is wrong with the way you're built, because this is supposed to be the easy part, the lying down, the stopping. Everyone else seems to do it without effort. They get into bed and the day closes behind them like a door. For you, getting into bed is when the day finally opens. Here is the first thing worth seeing clearly. Your mind is not coming alive at night because it is broken. It is coming alive because, for the first time in hours, nothing is in the way. All day, you were surrounded by small things that needed you, not big things, small ones. A screen to look at, a task to move forward, a conversation to half listen to while you thought about the next one. And those small things were doing a job you never noticed they were doing. They were keeping the inside of your mind occupied just enough that it couldn't turn toward you. Motion was holding something back. You just couldn't see what. Then you lie down, and the last of the small things falls away. No screen demanding the next scroll, no task pulling you forward, no reason to look anywhere but inward. And the mind, which has been standing at the edge of this quiet all day, finally walks in. What walks in with it is everything you didn't have time to feel. The conversation from this afternoon that ended a little wrong. The thing you meant to say and didn't. The worry you set down at 9 in the morning because you had to function and never pick back up, except it picked you. The mind is not inventing these things at night, it is delivering them. They were waiting in a line all day, and the bed is the first place quiet enough for them to arrive. This is why it feels like an ambush. Because it is the opposite of one. It is a delivery you postponed. Notice something about the timing. The thoughts that come are rarely about tomorrow's facts. They're about today's unfinished feeling. A look someone gave you, a tone you couldn't read, a decision you're not sure was right. During the day, you had 100 reasons not to sit with any of it. At night, the reasons run out. And a mind that never got to finish processing the day will use the only unoccupied hour it has. You built a life that runs on momentum. And momentum has a cost that only shows up when you stop. There's a quieter pattern underneath this, and it's worth naming gently. Somewhere along the way, your system learned that being occupied feels safer than being still. Not because you decided that, because it worked. When you were busy, the difficult thoughts stayed at a distance. When you were moving, you didn't have to meet the part of you that's tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. So, you kept moving, and the stillness, which other people use to recover, became the one place you quietly avoided all day without ever calling it avoidance. So now stillness arrives, and it doesn't feel like relief. It feels like exposure. You might recognize the small negotiations that follow. You reach for your phone, not because you want it, but because the light and the scroll put the small things back between you and your mind. You replay the conversation one more time, hoping that this time it will resolve. You make a mental list for tomorrow, telling yourself you're being responsible, when really you're trying to hand the mind a task so it has somewhere to go, other than inward. These are not failures of willpower. They are a system reaching for the thing that worked all day. And if you do start to drift, you might notice how quickly something pulls you back. You're almost gone, almost under, and then a single thought lifts its head and you're awake again, a little annoyed, a little defeated. That too is not random. A mind that spent the day making sure nothing slipped past doesn't surrender the watch easily. The edge of sleep is exactly where its job feels most at risk. So, it tugs you back one more time to check that you haven't missed anything. And here is the contradiction sitting in the middle of all of it. The harder you try to shut the thinking down, the more present it becomes. Because trying to stop a thought is still attention. It is still the mind turned toward itself, just turned against itself. You lie there issuing instructions to a part of you that doesn't take instructions, and the effort itself becomes the noise. The mind doesn't quiet because you ordered it to. It quiets when it finally believes nothing else needs answering tonight. That belief is the thing your system can't quite reach. Because for years, there was always something else that needed answering. You became the person who anticipates, who prepares, who catches the problem before it lands. And that person does not easily accept that the day is over. Part of you keeps the night open in case something still needs you. Keeping watch felt like care. It felt like responsibility. It even felt like love, sometimes, for the people you were trying not to let down. So the mind staying awake is not betrayal. It is an old form of loyalty that has outlived its job. Let that sit for a moment. The part of you that won't settle at night is not your enemy. It is the part that has been trying to keep everything from falling apart, working overtime in the dark, long after everyone else has handed the day back. It doesn't know yet that it's allowed to stop. And it won't learn that from being scolded. A system that learned to stay open through years of needing to be open does not close because you're frustrated with it. It closes slowly when the same hour comes again and again and nothing bad happens in it. When lying down stops being the place where the day ambushes you and starts becoming the place where the day is simply allowed to be finished, whether or not it was finished well. You don't have to resolve everything that arrives tonight. That was never the deal. The conversation that ended wrong does not need to be fixed at midnight. The decision you're unsure of will still be there in the morning, and you will be more able to meet it then. The mind brings these things not because they must be solved now, but because this is the only time you've left open to acknowledge them at all. So maybe the work isn't to make the mind go quiet. Maybe it's to let the things in line arrive without treating each one as an emergency. There is a difference between a thought passing through and a thought being held. All day you held everything because holding felt like control. Tonight, you can let a thought arrive, be seen, and move on without grabbing it. Not because you've mastered some technique, but because for once you're not asking the night to be productive. The body notices when you stop pushing against your own mind. It doesn't ease because you command it. It eases because the message slowly changes from "this is dangerous" to "this is just my evening." You are not failing at rest. You're a person whose mind finally got the room to itself and didn't know what to do with the space except fill it with everything it carried for you all day. That carrying was real, the weight was real, and the fact that it only shows up when you lie down doesn't make it less real. It just means you've gotten very good at not letting it interrupt you until the only thing left to interrupt is your sleep. You don't have to fix that tonight. You can lie here with a mind that's still moving and stop treating its movement as proof that something is wrong with you. The thoughts can come. You don't have to answer all of them. You answered enough today. And somewhere in that, without forcing anything, the day starts to set itself down. Not because you made it, because you finally stopped asking it to keep standing.
If this spoke to something real inside you, stay connected. There's more to explore within. And if you feel ready, you can subscribe and walk this path step by step.